Hello and welcome to the Nation ASEAN Plus. I'm Jared Ratnam at Wisma Bernama in Kuala Lumpur. Every weekend we bring you stories that made the week, insightful perspectives from across a very dynamic and diverse region. We've had some significant developments in the ASEAN bloc this week, and we're going to be talking about that. But just so you know, as Malaysia gets into gear or shifts gear to move into being the chair of ASEAN next year, we will be having a lot of ASEAN-related stories, of course, till the end of the year and moving into the next year. Now, we begin with big stories from Malaysia. Malaysian Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim has emphasized that Malaysia and Iran, or rather the cooperation between Malaysia and Iran, will remain free of foreign interference, focusing solely on the mutual benefit and prosperity of both nations. Now, in a Facebook post, Anwar said he conveyed this message during a telephone conversation with Iranian President-elect Dr. Masoud Pezeshkian on Wednesday. Now, he also extended congratulations to Pezeshkian, who is scheduled to be inaugurated as Iran's new president on July 30th, expressing optimism for Iran's continued progress under his leadership. Now, Iran has been in the spotlight from January till now, and of course we'll be giving you more updates as we move along with regards to the new president or him being inaugurated right here on Bernama TV. Now, next, Malaysia's Housing and Local Government Minister Nga Kor Meng said Malaysia is committed to achieving the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, and we will also be prioritizing the well-being of citizens. Of course, that's news coming from the minister's desk. Now, Nga is delivering the national statement at the high-level political forum in conjunction with the United Nations General Assembly in New York, and he emphasized that Malaysia's commitment to speeding up the implementation of the SDGs through a strategic and innovative approach is being planned and of course being led by relevant ministries. Now we move on to Malaysia and Brunei. Malaysia and Brunei are currently in negotiation to finalize the agreement or MOU regarding land border demarcation between the two countries, and this covers a distance or an area for about 528.5 kilometers. That's quite a large line. Now, Malaysia's Foreign Minister Dato Sri Mohamad Hassan in Parliament recently said for the time being, the marking and measurement works in the field have been successfully carried out by both countries, and this covers a distance of 175.96 kilometers. That's about roughly 33.3% of the entire border distance. Now, in addition, he said Malaysia has signed a total of 33 land border agreements or MOUs and 9 maritime treaties regarding Malaysia's borders with neighboring countries so far. So that's some good news that we are reworking, or rather reassessing, the demarcation between Brunei and us, and of course we will be definitely moving into the stories or giving you updates on it as and when we receive more with regards to that demarcation process being done by both countries. In other news, Natural Resources and Environmental Sustainability Minister Nik Ahmad said Malaysia will raise the issue of plastics pollution plaguing the world when it hosts ASEAN Summit 2025. Now, he said the proposal to voice the issue had been expressed to Deputy Secretary General for Socio-Cultural Community in a meeting recently. Nik Nazmi also said that the issue of plastics pollution requires the cooperation of all of ASEAN countries. Now, this is becoming a very disturbing piece of news around the world, especially when we talk about plastic pollution. There's so much happening and so little is being done, and more needs to be done at this point. And I think Nik Nazmi is going to take the lead on this as Malaysia heads into the chairmanship of ASEAN come 2025. Now, in other developments, Malaysia secured over 230 million in palm oil trade deals during Deputy Plantation and Commodities Minister Dato Chan Fong Hin's recent working visit to China. Now, in a statement, the Ministry of Plantation and Commodities, or KPK, said Chan's visit from July 8 till the 12th to promote Malaysian agri-commodities in China has resulted in the signing of 4 MOUs. Now, the minister highlighted that the 4 MOUs would involve expanding the trade of palm oil products into new sectors, including leveraging the globally renowned e-commerce platform Taobao to develop online business-to-business and business-to-consumer sales channels while entering the health product market with tocotrienols, a potent form of vitamin E derived from palm oil. Now, for those of us who are not too sure of what this is, if you go to any pharmacy and you ask for vitamin E or a derivative of vitamin E, they'll give you something red in color which comes in the form of a spongy capsule, and that's basically tocotrienols. And the best tocotrienols, from what I understand, or research being done on tocotrienols, is done in Malaysia. Now we move on. According to Investment, Trade and Industry Ministry, better known as METI, its Minister Tengku Dato Sri Zafrul, or Tengku Zafrul as he's well known in Malaysia, says Malaysia's halal industry is poised to explore exporting its halal certification services to countries that have requested support. Now, he said Malaysia's halal certification is regarded as the global gold standard due to its well-established halal ecosystem and also a robust regulatory framework, positioning the country to capture a significant share of this market. Now, Tengku Zafrul noted that the halal issue was also discussed during Prime Minister Dato Sri Anwar Ibrahim's recent missions to the Kyrgyz Republic. He's also gone to Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan. He's visited all these countries, as well as his recent trade mission to Vietnam. Now we shift our focus to another key sector. Deputy Agriculture and Food Security Minister Dr. Arthur Joseph Kurup said Malaysia aims to achieve 40% of aquaculture production by 2030 to better balance the country's fisheries needs. And now he said that currently aquaculture accounts for 30% of the total fisheries production, and the country recorded a per capita fish and fishery products consumption of 45 kilograms last year. Now, the fisheries sector is an important part of Malaysia's food security, socio-economic development, economic and trade opportunities, as well as environmental protection efforts. Now, here's something on international diplomacy and cooperation. Malaysia's Dewan Rakyat Speaker Johari Abdul and his New Zealand counterpart Jerry Brownlee met on Monday to discuss efforts to strengthen bilateral relations between the two countries. Now, the meeting also touched on Malaysia's upcoming role as ASEAN chair. According to Johari, other topics discussed included renewable energy, food security and innovation to ensure that these initiatives by both countries benefit the entire ASEAN region. Basically, they spoke about the SDGs. Now, I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we'll take a look at developments in other ASEAN countries, particularly in Thailand and the Philippines. Don't wander off. I'll be right back. Stay with us right here on the Nation ASEAN Plus. I'm Jared Rutnam. Welcome back. You're watching the Nation ASEAN Plus. I'm Jared Rutnam. We continue the broadcast with news this week from Singapore. Now, the Interpol Red Notice against the Malaysian fugitive businessman Loh Teck Jo, or Jolo, published at Singapore's request on October 2016, remains in effect. The Singapore Police Force, or SPF, said the settlement agreement between the United States, the Department of Justice, DOJ, and Jolo and his family on June 26 for the civil forfeiture actions instituted by the DOJ against them has no bearing on the police criminal investigations against Loh and his associates. Now, to date, the Singapore authorities have obtained court orders to release about 103 million Singapore dollars of the seized 1MDB related monies to the Malaysian government. About 164 million of 1MDB related assets in Singapore remain seized or prohibited from disposal, including about 101 million linked to Loh and his family. That's quite a big number there, something for us to digest over the weekend. Next, Singapore's Defence Ministry, or MINDEF, and the US Defence Department have signed a Statement of Intent, or SOI, on data analytics and artificial intelligence cooperation. Now, the SOI facilitates technological collaboration, enabling both defence establishments to discuss approaches and enhance best practices on leveraging data analytics and AI at speed and scale. Now, the U.S. Defense Department, in a statement on Monday, said that under the SOI, the U.S. and Singapore have identified key areas of collaboration such as quality data, the responsible development and use of AI, and talent management. Now we move to updates this week from Indonesia. Indonesia is rapidly expanding its nickel industry to become a global leader, increasing from 2 to 27 smelters in the past decade, with plans for another 22. This growth is driven by soaring demand from electric vehicle manufacturers like Tesla, but they say this expansion is accompanied by significant environmental impact, which includes a double deforestation around smelter sites, endangering biodiverse rainforests. Now, criticism focuses on the environmental toll of coal-powered operations versus cleaner production methods. Recently, withdrawals by European companies it's starting to signal mounting global scrutiny over sustainability issues. Now we move on. Indonesian President Joko Widodo discussed increased cooperation in the field of defense, cross-border issues and trade and health and also education with Papua New Guinea Prime Minister James Marape in a meeting at Istana Bogor in West Java earlier this week. Both leaders emphasized that defense cooperation is important to strengthen the security of both countries or their countries. At a joint press conference, he emphasized the importance of continuing the discussion on the preferential trade agreement to increase bilateral trade, as well as the renewal of the health cooperation agreement and the signing of the education cooperation. Now we take a look at what's happening in the Philippines. On Wednesday, Philippine officials said the suspect in the killings of 2 Australian citizens and a Filipina woman in a hotel in a popular resort city south of Manila had surrendered. The bodies of the victims, whose hands and feet were tied, were found sprawled on the floor in a room at the Lake Hotel of Tagaytay City a week ago. Now, police described their deaths as a rare, heinous crime in a tourism destination that is largely known for a scenic volcano nestled amid a lake, abundant tropical fruits, and the hospitality of its people. Tagaytay's police said the breakthrough in the week-old case came when the suspect was identified by at least 3 hotel employees based on his image that was captured by security cameras showing part of his masked face. The identification of the suspect eventually led to his home province of Batangas near Tagaytay, where he decided to surrender to the police. Now, according to the United Nations, transnational crime syndicates based in Southeast Asia are fueling the trafficking of people, either forcing them to commit crimes or for sexual exploitation in so-called scam farms that have spread across the region. There are estimated to be some 400 of these criminal enterprises in the Philippines alone. They are almost always operated clandestinely and illegally alongside licensed and legal online gaming operations. The proliferation of online scam farms targeting victims across the world is a relatively new phenomenon that exploded during the COVID-19 pandemic. Now, the Philippine Presidential Anti-Organized Crime Commission has raided and shut down dozens of the operations in recent years and is collaborating with the UN Office on Drugs and Crime to look at ways of working with other countries, and this is to disrupt and dismantle the scam farms in Southeast Asian countries. This includes in places like the Philippines, Cambodia, Laos, and also Myanmar. Now we move on to stories in Thailand. Police in Thailand say the bodies of 6 people were found on Tuesday, and this is a it's a sad story, but a lengthy one, in a luxury hotel in downtown Bangkok, and poisoning is a possibility. Listen to this. According to an officer from the Lumpini police station, the investigators said the bodies were foaming at the mouth. Bangkok police chief identified the dead as 2 Vietnamese Americans and 4 Vietnamese nationals. There were 3 males and 3 females. Apparently, the victims booked several rooms at the Grand Hyatt Erawan Hotel under 7 names, and some were staying on a different floor from the room where they were found dead. Now, according to the cops, there were no signs of a struggle. The bodies were discovered by a maid who went to the room after they failed to check out and found it locked from the inside. There was also food that had been ordered earlier from room service that was left uneaten, but drinks had been consumed. Now here we just move on to an update. The Thai police said they have found traces of cyanide in the cups of these 6 people who died. After initial autopsy, the head of forensic medicine at Chulalongkorn's medical school said there was cyanide found in the blood of all 6 bodies, and a CAT scan showed no signs of blunt force or trauma, reinforcing the hypothesis that they had been poisoned. Now, upon checking hotel records and security footage, there were no other visitors in the room apart from the 6 that were found. Bangkok Deputy Police Chief Nopasin Punsawat said it appeared the culprit was one of the dead, and the case appeared to be personal and did not involve organized crime. Citing information obtained from relatives of the victims, Nopasin said a husband and wife among the dead had invested money with 2 of the other victims, suggesting that money could be a motive. The 6 had last been seen alive when food was delivered to the room on Monday afternoon this week. No one was seen leaving, and the door was locked from the inside. Nopasin also said that a 7th person, whose name was not part of the hotel booking, was identified by police as a sibling of one of the 6 victims who left the country on the 10th of July. Now, police believe the 7th person had nothing to do and had no involvement in those deaths. I'm going to take another break. When I come back, we'll bring you more updates from across ASEAN countries. This is the Nation ASEAN Plus on Bernama TV. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us and welcome back. This is the Nation ASEAN Plus on Bernama TV. I'm Jared Ratnam. Now we continue our broadcast with this. In Vietnam, Prime Minister Pan Minh Chin asked the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to closely coordinate with the Thai side in the investigation and citizen protection after the deaths of 4 Vietnamese nationals in a hotel in Bangkok. The Foreign Ministry was asked to protect the legal and legitimate rights and interests of the Vietnamese citizens, and also handle foreign relation matters with Thailand and provide updates on the case for the media and the public. Now, the PM also urged the Ministry of Public Security to coordinate with relevant sides in the investigation work per request from Thailand and give information about the victims' relatives to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in service of citizen protection. Still in Vietnam, on Thursday, its foreign ministry said the country has submitted a claim with the United Nations to an extended continental shelf, or ECS, in the South China Sea. Anadolu Agency reported in a statement that the ministry said the country's representatives at the UN submitted information to the UN Commission on the limits of the continental shelf beyond the current 200 nautical miles. The development came after the Philippines made a similar move at the UN last month. Now in Lao president has instructed the government to urgently address economic and financial difficulties, especially those related to fluctuating currency, exchange rates and high inflation. President Thong Luon issued the order during an open government meeting held from Monday to Wednesday, attended by cabinet members, the mayor of Vientiane and provincial governors. He said the Lao government must put in place conditions that will sustain an acceptable rate of inflation and living costs to resolve the country's ongoing financial problems and ease the burden on ordinary people. Moving on to Myanmar, the United States says the military regime in Myanmar is taking over refugee camps and using internally displaced people as human shields. Now, U.S. Deputy Ambassador Robert Wood, or U.S. Deputy UN Ambassador Robert Wood, made the accusation at the United Nations on Monday. Let's take a look at this.
Recent reports indicate the Myanmar regime has taken deliberate steps in Rakhine State to use internally displaced persons, many of whom are Rohingya, as human shields amid the conflict. We are particularly concerned by reports indicating the regime has placed landmines around IDP camps and appears to have taken steps to use these camps as military bases. There are also credible reports of forced recruitment of persons, including children, belonging to ethnic minorities by the Myanmar Armed Forces in particular and other parties, which risk further fueling intercommunal tensions and aggravating the humanitarian situation.
Now, the military government took power in 2021 after ousting the elected government of Aung San Suu Kyi. Ambassador Wood says the number of people in humanitarian need has risen from 1 million to 18.6 million. Now, the violence in Myanmar has caused international concern, with its military widely condemned for the disproportionate use of deadly force to try to quash its opponents. Now, this week in Cambodia, Xinhua reported that Cambodian Prime Minister Hun Manet on Monday welcomed giant Chinese electric car manufacturer BYD's plans to set up an automotive assembly plant in the Southeast Asian country. He made the remarks during a meeting with Liu Xiuling, General Manager of BYD Asia Pacific Auto Sales Division, at the Peace Palace in Phnom Penh. This is according to a news release posted on the Prime Minister's official telegram. Well, that brings this edition of the Nation ASEAN Plus to a close. Of course, we'll be bringing you more updates as we go along. And as I said before, if you ever need good reads on what's happening in ASEAN, go to bernama.com. You'll be updated there. To keep yourself updated, also join us here on Bernama TV. That's 502 on Astro. And you can find us on Bernama's socials. This will also link you to Bernama Radio, which is 93.9 in the Klang Valley. You have a fantastic weekend. I'm Jared Ratnam. This has been the Nation ASEAN Plus, only on Bernama TV. Thanks for watching.